Welcome back. So rather than continuing with our boss enemy, there was a couple bugs that were brought up to me by one of all my viewers. So kind of want to go over it with you. What the viewer experienced was that the enemy was hurting the player, wasn't hurting the player enough properly, which led me to doing some investigating. And I found out, I don't know if you guys are having this issue, but my enemy dies when the player just barely taps it from the side when it should be just from the jump. So the fix for the jump is what we're gonna go over right now, and then we'll go over some of the other errors that were found in the same video or in later ones. We'll see how long it takes. I've already done the fix in this, so I'm gonna kind of go over what I did. So if we look at where our player is, let me zoom in on our player. Alright, we got our player right here. I added an empty game object, right? So I clicked on the player, pressed right click, went to create empty and pressed that. I renamed it feet, and then I brought it down here just below so that it's barely hanging below the player capsule. I also went and made it a trigger. From there, I pulled up the code for the enemy, and I changed the code very slightly, but I changed it to if other.getGameObject.name is not equal to feet, then return. But if the trigger other is aside from that, I left it as other, right? But that little bit of code right there fixes that. So now the enemy only dies when the player jumps on it. So there's that fix. If you really wanted to tighten it down, then you could do under this if other.gameObject.name is equal to feet, like this, and then you could throw everything in here and it should work just fine. Maybe. GameObject.name. You would need 2 equals in that case for that to work, and it should still work the same. Let me bring over the game so we can check it out. Turn off the speakers so you don't get your ears blown out. So let's run into the enemy right there. Now you see that's the other issue. You saw how the enemy wasn't killing it, but there we go, it's dead. And that works like that. So now to fix the lack of damage from the enemy once the invincibility goes away, what we're gonna do is where do we start? So for that, I think what we're going to do is we're going to change up our hurt player. Right now, this is our enemy hurt player script. As you can see, it only works when it enters. And what we want is to add something so that when the player stays in there, it's going to continue to hurt the player. So what we want to do is we're going to add what's called an on trigger stay 2D. But the first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra function in here. So we're going to have that private void on trigger stay 2D. We want that. We're going to go ahead and change this to other one more time, right? We'll write stuff in there in a minute, but what I want to do is create a function that says, we're going to say damage player. And we're going to pass a collider 2D and name that other. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say if other.compare tag is the player, then we're going to actually pass this code that we have up here. Down in here. But and so that should work for that. And then over here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass damage player, right? We're also gonna pass damage player again. And why are those? Because we didn't pass an argument, so that argument needs to be here, and we're gonna, because we're looking for an argument here, a collider, we're gonna say other. Alright, now we're gonna add one more check in here. I'm gonna create one new variable, and I'm gonna call that, it's going to be a Boolean method, right? Is player invincible. Actually, no, we should be fine. I was gonna have one more check as a backup, but this should work. Let's give it a try and see. If it doesn't work, then we'll add that check. Alright, let me make this big again. There we go. Oh, hold on. Let's just put this back in there. Alright. Alright, here we go. There we go, see that? Alright, so there's a little glitch there. The bug kind of got stuck. I died. There we go. Whoa, that's weird. But alright. If that happens again, then we'll have to check that out. Alright. So there's a few more glitches. It's kind of leading to more errors, and so we're gonna tackle these one at a time. Alright. We got that one working. Patrol points are working. And so we're gonna fix that one next. See, because now that bug is just stuck there. Let's see what happens if I just kind of like 86 myself. Is it still in that one spot? It is. Alright, so that'll be the next thing we fix. We're at 8 minutes, so we should be good. So I think what's going on is our knockback is preventing the enemy from moving. I think what happens is when the player hits the enemy, it starts to slow down the X for the enemy's linear velocity, and eventually after the second or third hit it sets it to 0. So we're gonna kind of work around that, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna force movement when it's not paused or blocked. Alright, so what we're gonna do is add a fail-safe check to restart the walking. We're going to make sure that we don't keep zeroing out the velocity unless we're supposed to be waiting. And then we're going to keep the velocity consistent even during the extended contact. So the way we're going to do that is by replacing this right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave is waiting just fine. We're going to leave that counter, and our changes are actually going to start here. And what we're going to type in is if rb.linear velocity dot x does not equal 0, then what we're going to do is rb.linear velocity equals new vector 2 0f rb.linear velocity dot y, and this is going to stop the movement only when it's waiting. Okay, this one, these few lines right here. We're also going to set the anim dot set bool is walking to false at this point. And then here, what we're going to say is if the wait counter is less than or equal to 0 frames, then what we're going to do is waiting is equal to false, and the current point index equals the current point index plus 1 percentage divided by the patrol points dot length. So what this does is it ensures the movement is stopped completely. So what it's doing, like I said, where was I? It's going to resume the movement when it ends, and then we're not overriding everything because we have this modulus here. I said divided by, but it's not. It's the modulus. So it's taking the remainder of whatever is left, right? So if we did 7 divided by 3, you would get 2 points whatever, right? There'd be a remainder of 1, right? But if you did 7 modulus 3, then it would give you the answer is 1, because that's what's left over when you divide 7 by 3. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's test that out, and that should work. I should probably do a series where I just kind of talk about some of this API in Unity 6. There's a lot of things that I've learned while messing around with it that I wish I had known previously. Why is that doing that now? That should not happen. Let's try this again. Interesting. It should still be moving, and it's not. I am still dying though, so that's nice. I gotta figure that part out too next. So, alright, so why is this not moving? Is waiting. Let's go with return. Maybe that fixes it, because then I'm telling you not to do anything after all that's done. So it needs to stop, and then it should go to this line here. So let's see, make sure that it's moving. And it's not. Is it just a bug in the Unity? That should have worked. Wait. Alright, I think what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to find the closest patrol point. Because what's happening is that it's not at a patrol point, so if I start it over here, it should start moving because it's at a patrol point. See, now it's moving. We don't want that, because what if your enemy is, if you have more than one patrol point, or if your enemy is right, like mine was in the center, you want it to just be going right from the beginning. So what I'm going to do is move this back, go ahead and save, so in case it crashes while I'm doing this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an integer method first. That int method is, I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. I'm going to say integer find closest patrol point, and and that's what it's going to be called. We're going to probably pass a float and say closest distance equals math f dot infinity. So if we hover over infinity, it's telling us a representation of a positive infinity, right? So it's looking for positive numbers, so we can't pass any negative numbers through it. And it's float, not flout. Although flout, this does sound really good. I think I know what we're having for dinner tonight. I just haven't told the wife yet now. Alright, closest index is equal to 0 for the integer I equals 0 when I is less than the patrol points dot length I plus plus. So it's going to start going through the patrol points. And a float distance is equal to vector2 dot distance transform dot position patrol points I dot position, and that should be fine for that. And then if the distance is less than closest distance, then closest distance is equal to distance, and closest index is going to be equal to I. Then from here, all we should need to do is pass return the closest index, and it should work just fine. Let's see what happens here. We may only get a couple of these fixes in. May have to do another one later this week. So there's a few more things. Alright. So it's still kind of just chilling. Oh, you know why? I didn't actually, we need to pass this integer method right here. Man, those dogs have gotten loud all of a sudden up here. So we need to say current, whoops, no. We need to say current point index is equal to find closest patrol point. That's what we need right there. Alright. Let that compile. Let that compile. Press play. We should see it moving. So rather than climb over there, I'm just going to go there. Alright, it's getting stuck. It's not making it all the way to the patrol point for some reason. So if we look, the patrol point's right there. Means we move the patrol point closer. See? Okay, so the patrol point was too far away. That means I need to go into my logic that controls the patrol point and fix that. So our patrol point is down here. We have it at 0.1, so we're gonna make it less than 0.1. Let's go 0.05 and see how that works. And let's try that again. Now it goes to the patrol point. Alright, it turned around, went to the next one, and went back. Alright, so now that that's all fixed, we're good. Alright, so in the next video, because we're already at 19 minutes, the next issue was with the spikes. When it had the same issue where the player was not being damaged. More than once while it's on the spikes, so, and it should be once invincibility ends, so I'm going to check that out. And if that's an issue now, either way, I'm going to record a video showing it fixed with the fix that we did for the enemy, or if I need to fix it, then I'll fix it in that video. But until then, keep learning, keep building. I'll see you in the next one.